Hey Wid fam, this is Leo with One Happy Widow, and today I'm going to give you a little widow slash widower pep talk. So here we go. All right, the reason why I'm not doing a live stream this week is because I'm finally using my new camera, and I am not sure it would work on a live stream. I know it's supposed to, but I'm not ready to go to that step yet, so I'm going to use it for this recording, so that way if I have some issues then I can edit them out, and hopefully in the next week or two I will be able to use this camera for my live stream. I'll let you know. Let's see, here was the camera that I was using before. Recognize that? Lighting's not too great. This is the one that's on my computer, and like you can really see the stuff in the background. So this was my webcam. Horrible lighting. So anyway, now we're back to this is like a real camera with my little blurry background or anything. So, all right, so I'm using my new camera, and today I'm going to I'm going to give you a little pep talk, and I'm going to address some comments that I get quite often from people, either on Facebook groups, or a lot of times people will actually send me messages on Facebook Messenger, or they'll even email me. And this is the case where when people are like to that point where they're feeling a little panicky and they don't know what to do. So the message will be something along the lines of, I don't know how to do this. I can't do this. What do I do? How do I go on? How do I move forward? How do I, those types of things. It's like a helpless cry for, I don't know how to do this. I don't know if I can do this. I'm so sad and I can't even think about what to do next. Please help me. What do I do? And it really tugs at my heart when I get messages like that, because I feel like that person is like at such a low place that they're surrounded by their despair and their grief, and they cannot think of anything else but that. And a lot of times it's when they're in fresh grief, in the first few weeks to the first several months. But sometimes even I get this message from people who are like at the end of their first year, or even in their second year. And it's at that point where they're like, you know what, when is this going to get better? Like, when am I going to be able to live? Because I thought by now I would be feeling better. I thought by now things were going to get better, and, make comments like that. And so I just want to give some general talk and address those kinds of statements for people when you get to that point. Some of this is going to be some tough love, okay? You might not like what I have to say for some of it, but it's got to be said, and you need to hear it. If you're at that point, sometimes it's going to be, put your big girl panties on and, that kind of thing. But I'm going to address those issues, and we're going to talk about it. All right. Before I start giving out any more advice, I just want to make it clear. I am not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I don't have any life coaching certifications. Okay. I'm not professionally trained to help people. Right. Okay. I am an educator. I'm a school teacher, and I'm a widow. So, take that for what it's worth. I'm not trying to diagnose you with any conditions, and I'm not trying to prescribe you any kind of thing and promise you that, I'm going to help you through whatever. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be like mom advice today, right? I'm going to give you some things that I would say to my children if they were in a situation like this. Okay. So just take that for what it's worth. That's my disclaimer. All right. And also, if these things that you listen to today are not helpful to you, or it's not, it's just not enough, then or you need more, I highly advise you to seek some professional help. Go see a counselor, go see a therapist, go to some group therapy, go see a doctor. If you think you might need medication, see a doctor and ask about it. I mean, it's available out there. The resources are available out there. If you're to that point, then that might be what you want to do. Okay, so these are just going to be I'm just going to give you a little pep talk. All right. And so the first thing that I want to say is when you get to that point where you're thinking, I can't do this anymore. I don't know how to do this anymore. I don't know what to do next. The first thing we have to do, just like any other kind of medical crisis that you might be going through, is like stop the bleeding, right? So if you're in that point where you can't think of anything else and the only thing you can think of is, I can't do this, that means that your mind is in a panic mode, right? All of your attention is focused on your grief, and on some helpless, hopeless feelings. And so we need to address that first, okay? Because that is number one. We need to get you into a place where your mind is calmer and you can start thinking rationally and you can start talking to yourself so that you can start helping yourself, okay? So that's step one. The best way to do that is if you're like in panic mode where all you're thinking about is your grief and, you're feeling like, oh my gosh, you feel like that trapped feeling. Is I don't know the official name for it, but it's like your grounding in your senses. Okay, so you need to stop right where you are, and you're going to think about your 5 senses. Okay, and you can do this in any order. I'm just going to give you an example. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to think about 5 things that you can see right here in front of you. Okay, so if I'm sitting here and I'm trying to get out of my panic mode, I'm going to sit and I'm going to look around and I'm going to think, I see a gray wall. I see a big square light behind my computer. I see a camera in front of me. I see my Diet Coke sitting in front of me. I see my shirt over here. So I just named 5 things, you say it to yourself, of things that I see in front of me. It doesn't matter what they are. My earbuds are going dead, so I'm going to take them out. It doesn't matter what they are. What matters is that you are taking your attention away from the panic, away from the grief, away from, the thing that's kind of making you feeling panicked, and you are focusing your attention on anything else. But when you're in that panic mode, you can't decide what to think about otherwise, and so this is just a prescription for looking at something. That's all it is. All right, so it's just pick out 5 things and identify 5 things that you can see. Then you're going to go down to 4 and you're going to go to your next sense, and I would just choose hearing. So sit and listen and try to focus on 4 things that you can hear. I hear cicadas outside. I hear my washing machine going off upstairs or my dryer going off upstairs. I'm in the country. I can't hear a whole lot of other things. So I just named 2. Hopefully you can name 4. But you just sit and listen. And I'm trying to think of them fast because I don't want to sit here forever on the recording. But if it takes you a few minutes, that's okay. Because you're not sitting there panicking anymore. You're sitting there trying to focus your hearing and your ears and that one sense on what can I hear. Because if you sit and listen long enough, you're going to hear something. All right? And so then you're going to go to your next sense and you're going to think about smells, right? So you're going to sit and you're going to try to recognize 3 things that you can smell, right? Then you're going to go down to 2 things that you can feel, something on your skin, the temperature, the air, or the wind blowing across the hair on your arms, or 2 things that you can feel, and then 1 thing that you can taste. You can change the senses around. It doesn't matter what order you do them in, but it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's all of your senses, and what you're doing is you're grounding yourself. You're getting your mind off of the panic, off of the grief, and you're centering all of your focus on you're putting yourself in the present moment. Okay, you're putting yourself right here today. You're not thinking about the past. You're not thinking about the future. You're not thinking about all this crap on your job. You're not thinking about your kids and all the other problems. And I'm probably bringing everything back home to you right now. But instead of your mind going crazy on all these a million thoughts, you're just thinking about those things. Okay, and then take some few cleansing breaths. Close your eyes if you need to. And now you're going to feel like, okay, I'm calm. The fleeting moment has passed. And so now your mind is in a place where you can receive. Because when you're in panic mode, you can't hear, You can't hear stuff that people are trying to talk to you. You're not, you can't pay attention to anything else. Have you seen in the old movies where the woman is going hysterical and crazy and the man walks up and he slaps her across the face? Well, that's a version of that. It's a very it's a very alarming version of that. But what it's doing is trying to take her mind off of all the crazy stuff and, for her to focus in on, oh my gosh, I just got smacked in the face. And, that. So it's focusing your attention on one specific thing without slapping you in the face. It's a more gentle version of that. All right. And so once you get that grounded, then you start thinking about just choose one thing, right? So choose one thing that it is that you're going to try to tackle emotionally. And I'm not talking about like, well, my husband died. That's the one thing. I'm not talking about that. Obviously, that's what happened because you were in the situation, and that is kind of flavoring and sprinkling itself through every other thing. But let's choose one thing in your life right now that is, what is it that is causing you a lot of stress? What is one of the things that, that you can focus on to try to solve or fix or pay attention to or adjust? And the trick is to find something that you can actually control. There's going to be some things in your life that you can't control. If you can't control it, then worrying about it is not doing anything but hurting you on the inside. So if it's not something you can control, if it's not something you have any influence over, if it's not something you can change, we're going to skip over that for right now. Okay? You might can address it later, but you're going to pick something that you can actually have some influence over. Okay, what if it's, my house is a freaking mess? Okay, well, it might not be an easy task to clean your house, but that's a simple one thing. Then you can come up with a plan and break it down into smaller steps so that you can address that one issue and you can fix that one and then move on to the next. You can't fix everything at the same time. You can worry about it all at the same time, but you can only solve one problem at a time. So we're going to pick the one problem. We're going to figure out how to deal with it. And if you don't know how to deal with it, if you're standing at the mountain and you're looking at the top and you think, I'm never going to get there. There's no way possible I can reach the top of that mountain. We're not looking at the top of the mountain. We're looking at the first step. Okay? So how do you climb the mountain? You go to the next step. You don't look at the summit. You look at the next step. How do you run a marathon? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. All these little sayings and these little catchphrases, they all say the same message. But the point is, you can't do this big, large task at the same time at once. You have to break it down into steps and do one step at a time. All right? And one saying that my mom used to say that used to piss me off so much, but it is applicable sometimes. She would say, every step is one step closer. And we would always get mad, say, closer to what, Mom? But every step is one step closer. But the journey is long, but one step is what you do at one time. Okay, so we're just going to focus on one step at a time. All right. The second thing now, after we've gotten ourselves calmed down and we're going to focus on how we're going to accomplish these things that are overwhelming us, is that go ahead and indulge your grief. Go ahead and indulge your pain. Go ahead and indulge your sadness for a while, okay? Because you do deserve to allow yourself to feel those feelings. You can't just shove them off to the side and ignore them and just keep busy and just put it back there, because it's going to come back and haunt you. So go ahead and pay attention for a little while. Allow yourself a few minutes to cry, to feel sad, to think about your spouse, whatever it is that you need to do. Lay in the bed and mope, feel sorry for yourself, those kinds of things. We need to do that, right? Because sometimes we feel like if we don't feel sorry for ourselves, nobody else is going to do it. And so, okay, give yourself a little pity party for a few minutes, a few hours, go ahead and indulge that. But we can't stay there. Okay, that's where it becomes a problem, is when we stay in that valley. Remember, we call it the valley of grief. When we stay in that valley and we don't start climbing out, then the longer we stay there, the harder and harder it is for us to climb out of that. And once you stay there for too long, that's when you start looking at other types of depression or clinical depression or other issues and problems. All right. So indulge yourself, but when you get, it's like taking a little break. Take a little grief break. But once you get done with that, for this time, it's not the only grief break you're ever going to get. Just take one for a little bit and then say, okay, I did my grieving for the day. Now I'm going to go back and I've got to get to living, right? Because you cannot spend your whole rest of your life grieving. You have to live. And so we've got to get to that next point. All right? And so you got to get back to life. My daughter, one of my daughters, used to use the excuse a lot that, well, I'm too sad, Mom. I can't go to school. I'm too sad. I can't go to work. I'm too sad. I can't take that test today. I'm too sad. And for a little while, I let her use that excuse. And to be blunt, we called it using the dead dad card because she overplayed that card after a while. And it was like, well, I can't do such and such, Mom. I'm too sad. Well, guess what? You're always going to be sad. Like in some way, you're always going to have that sad flavor. It's going to, it's going to permeate everything in your life. Being sad is not an excuse to not do the stuff that you're supposed to do. It's not an excuse for not living. And so eventually I had to give her some tough love and say, well, you're just going to have to go to school sad. You've got to go to work sad. You have to do that assignment sad. You still are going to have to do it. You cannot use being sad as an excuse to not do the things that you need to do. And you can't use being sad as an excuse for not allowing yourself to be happy. So, believe it or not, you've got to find a way to balance being sad and being happy, because you're going to have to do that at some point, right? Because you got to be able to feel happy too sometimes. You're always going to have that sadness in the background. But you got to find a way to be happy, and you got to allow yourself permission to do that. All right? And so, a few other things that my mom used to tell me that I thought did not make any sense until looking back on it. And she would say, if I was real scared about doing something, she'd say, well, you don't have to do anything but be there. Like, you don't have to do anything except be there. She told me that when I was getting ready to have my baby. Like, my second baby, I was really scared because I had a C-section the first time, and I was going in. I was going to try to have her a VBAC, which is vaginal after a C-section. And when it got to that point and I started going in, I was like, oh my gosh, I started getting panicky. I can't do this. I'm too scared. And she's like, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is be there. And I thought, are you kidding me? But when she said that, I was like, okay. I was in a wheelchair. I was in the hospital. And I thought, okay, I'll try that. I'm just going to sit in the chair and I'm going to let them wheel me into the room. All I had to do was be there. And then I let them put me in the bed. All I had to do was be there. And then they put my legs up in the stirrups, and I kept thinking, all I have to do is be here. And then whenever the time came to do the next step, I would do it. But in my mind, I was like, I'm just here. All I have to do is be here. And I know that might not make any sense, but like, it kind of helped me, again, to not look at the whole task in front of me. I was like, I just have to be here, just be present. And when the time came to do something, to push or to do whatever, I did it. And then when I took a little break, I was like, okay, I just have to be here. I'm just here. And mentally, it helped me. And another thing she said, and this was kind of along the lines of how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, but she was like, if you wake up and you think, I can't handle today. I cannot do today, because you're thinking about all the things that are coming up. You have a meeting or a job interview, or you have to go talk to somebody, you have to go talk to a lawyer, or you have to do funeral plans, or you have to go to court, or you have to fill out some paperwork, or anything that you're like, I can't do today, I can't do it. Well, then don't think about today. Think about what you have to do for the next hour. What do you have to do for the next hour? When you get up and you're waking up, what do I have to do before I leave the house? Okay, I need to get up, I need to get in the shower, I need to brush my teeth, I need to take my medicine, I need to fix my hair, I need to fix my clothes, and whatever. Well, I just listed like 7 things. So if you're so overwhelmed and you can't even think about the 7 things and can't break it down to the next hour, then break it down to the next 15 minutes, or the next 1 minute, or the next 20 seconds. And that's where you go back to, I don't have to do anything except be here. So if I can't imagine the next hour, like, oh my gosh, that's too many things to think about. Okay, don't think about the next 7 things. Just think about, okay, let's break it down to one task at a time. Don't think about what you have to do the rest of the day. Just think about, what do I need to do next? Just do the next thing. All right, just do the one next thing that you have to do. Because if you can just do the one thing, it's not so overwhelming. All I have to do is get out of bed. And sometimes it takes everything in you just to get out of bed, but that's okay. Focus all your strength, all of your inner strength, all your physical strength, all of your attention. Think of all of that. Focus everything on getting up and get out of bed. Okay, now you're out of bed. Now what's next? Go to the bathroom and brush your teeth. Okay? Oh, I don't want to. I'm dreading it. Well, the longer you dread it, the more it's going to affect you. So stop dreading it and just go do it. It takes, 2 minutes to brush your teeth? Okay, so just go in, brush your teeth. All right, now what's next? I learned a long time ago that one of the reasons why I would put off getting in the shower is because when I got out of the shower, I would walk around cold and wet and have to figure out what I was going to wear and go through and get my clothes with my towel on or whatever. Several years ago, I finally just made it this habit that I don't get in the shower until I have my clothes picked out and laid out on the bed, all the way down to my underwear, my socks, my shoes, and everything. Because it's easier for me to pick out all my clothes while I'm dry and in my pajamas than when I'm wet and covered in a towel. And so it just became this habit, and now it just feels weird for me not to do it. So I go pick out my clothes I'm going to wear for the day, and I lay them out on my bed. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm cool to take a shower, because I know as soon as I get out of the shower and get dried off, my clothes are ready. I can just put them on real quick. And so I pick out my clothes, put them out, take a shower, and I go ahead and get dressed. Luckily, this hairstyle takes like 5 minutes, right? So drying my hair takes 5 minutes, and styling it takes like another 3. So literally, I can fix my hair in less than 10 minutes. And if I'm lucky, I can use this hairstyle for 2 days. This is on day 2 of this hair, so it's not the freshest, but you know what? It is what it is. And so get dressed all the way down to your shoes and do your next thing. All right. And so just do that for the day. Like, don't think about work or the drive or how far you got to go or the things, don't think about those things. Just focus on what you're doing right now and just do the one next thing. All right. Just break it down into that. And then, my daughter also told me, she was talking to me on the phone the other day, and she was like, you know what, Mom, when I was going through all those times and all that pain and all that sadness, and I felt like I couldn't do stuff and I was so upset, she was like, there's one thing that I always remember that stands out so much that you told me. And I was like, well, this should be great. What is it? Because, a lot of times you say stuff to your kids and you don't even really know. You don't know what's going to resonate with them. I don't know what I'm going to say on these videos that's going to resonate with you. I say everything I can think of and hope that something stands out and sticks in your mind and you're like, wow, I never thought about it that way. And so she told me, it was so simple. She was like, I just remember you saying, you know what? I get that you don't feel like doing it, but you've got to just do it anyway. Like, I know you don't want to go, but you just got to go. I know you don't want to go to school, but you got to get up and freaking go to school. Like, just get up and do it anyway, even though you don't feel like it, because there's going to be times in your life for the rest of your life that you're not going to want to do stuff, and you're just going to have to do it. And that's what you tell kids, because they're like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to go. Well, do it anyway. But when we are in profound grief, we do revert to some childlike emotions, and we just are telling ourselves, I don't want to do that. I just don't want to, so I'm not going to. And I'm here to tell you that at some point, you are grown now, and you just got to do it anyway. And so I know you don't like to hear that, and you don't want to hear that, but you know it's true. So sometimes, instead of waiting around for you to feel better, that might not happen anytime soon. So basically, if you're waiting around to say, well, I'm not going to get up and go back to work until I'm feeling better, well, you might not feel better in the amount of time that you need to go back to work. And if you waited around until you feel like doing stuff, you might not ever do stuff. It's like when you start working out. You might go that first day, and then your body is so dang sore, and you feel like you can't move. And you think about it, and you're like, if you waited around to feel like working out, to work out, you would never work out. Like, you go and work out, even though you don't feel like it and you don't want to, because you know that when you are done, you're going to be glad that you did. Because you know that that's best for you, not because you want to or you feel like it. And so when we're grieving, we deal with that. We deal with that issue almost every day. Like, even when we don't feel like doing the stuff, we got to do the stuff. And so in the beginning, that's why I said, give yourself a little time. But then after a while, it's like, if you're waiting around to start feeling happy before you start living your life again, you're going to be waiting for a while. You probably won't start feeling happy again until you start living your life. So it's kind of backwards, because you're waiting for your heart to tell you that you're okay and you feel better before you start doing the stuff. But what really needs to happen is you need to do the stuff before you want to, so that your heart can heal and feel better. And so it's action before attitude. Don't wait until you feel like it. Just do what you need to do, and then you will feel better. Like, nobody ever leaves the gym and get in their car and say, man, I wish I hadn't worked out today. That was stupid. No. Every time you get finished, you're like, whew, I'm glad it's over, but I'm so glad I went. I'm so proud of myself. I feel better. I have more energy. I'm so, whatever. I'm going to reap the benefits of this later. But at the time that you were getting ready to go, you didn't want to go. You went because you knew it was best for you. And most of the time when I'm working out, I don't enjoy myself during the time. Some people get addicted to that feeling of exercise or whatever. I do not. I suffer every time I'm in the workout thinking, when is this going to be over? Please let this be over. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. But I just do it anyway. And then when I'm done, I'm like, whew, thank God it's over. Thank God it's done. And I need to follow my own advice, because I have not been working out enough. I have not been active enough, and I need to get back to it. I don't feel like it, but I need to do it anyway. Because if I wait around to feel like it, ain't never going to happen. All right. And so, think about the military. I'm looking at my notes here because I have to remember all my points, but you think about the military, when the drill sergeants get in their faces, of the new recruits, and they're yelling and screaming at them, they're telling them what to do. Do you think that they're asking those guys, whenever you feel like it, guys, we're going to run these, oh, sorry, that was probably really loud. Whenever you feel like it, guys, we're going to run this 4-mile stretch at 4:30 a.m. So as soon as you feel like it, I'll wait for you. Go ahead and get up whenever you feel like it. No, they get in there, they turn on the lights, they make all the noise, they start yelling and screaming. They're like, get up, get out of bed, do it, and their bodies are just on autopilot. Do you think any of them want to get up and do what they're supposed to do? No, but they're doing it because that's what they're supposed to do. So same kind of thing. Like, life is not the army, and, I'm not your drill sergeant, but it's along the same lines. All right. And also, if you're waiting around for your circumstances to change before you move forward, get on with life, find happiness, find joy, find purpose, the things that you need to do in order to change from grief to growth. We call that pivoting. Remember, I got a course on that. But your circumstances are not going to change until you do. Laying in the bed and not getting up and not doing anything is not moving you through the grieving process. It's keeping you in the grieving process. All right. And there is a time to do that for a while, but then at some point it's time to get up and go and get moving and start doing the things. Right. And so you can't sit around and not do anything and think that your situation is going to change. There's all kinds of sayings about that too. Nothing changes if nothing changes. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting, those kinds of things. But those are true. They're simple sayings that you hear over and over again, but they are true. And when we have to start talking to ourselves in a more positive way. The person that you listen to the most is yourself. And so we have to train your brain, train your inner voice to talk to yourself and say the things that you need to hear, so that you can start to listen to yourself and believe it and start doing it. All right. So you have to convince yourself to do the things that you need to do. All right. Let's see. What are my next? All right. So one of the problems that a lot of people have when they're feeling like, I can't do this anymore. How do I do this? I'm so lonely. And so that's probably one of the biggest reasons why they get to that point where they feel like they can't do it, or they don't want to, or they don't have they just don't have the desire to feel happy anymore, because the only thing that makes them happy is their spouse. And since their spouse is never coming back, they think, well, I'm never going to be happy again. So, and I understand that loneliness feeling, because you're used to having your other person there on every day, and they're not there anymore. And so just know that you are not alone. Okay? You're not alone in this journey. You have family. If you don't have family, then you have friends. If you don't have friends, then you have coworkers. And if you don't work and you have nobody, then get a pet, because your pet will be your constant companion. And I know that's not the same thing as your spouse. I get that. We're having to deal with what, we're working with what we have, right? And so we're trying to make the best of the situation. We're playing the cards we're dealt. All right? But also, you've got a huge community in our Facebook group, the One Happy Widow Facebook group. And I will put the link in the description below. And if I'm able to, I will put it up on the screen too, if I can figure out how to do that. But the Facebook group, just look up Facebook groups, One Happy Widow, and look it up and apply to join. That group has tons of people, all widowed, supporting each other, loving on each other, caring about each other, giving advice, pep talking, motivating, all that. You will not feel alone when you're in there. And I know it's not the same thing as having people directly around you, but it is a huge source of support. And you will know when you join and you post something that you're not alone, because you will have all kinds of people respond to anything that you say, and they will show their support. They will love up on you. They will pray for you if you need to. They will give you advice, and they will just let you know that you're not alone in the world. You're not alone in the way that you feel. You're not weird. You're not doing it wrong. There's no wrong way to grieve. You'll realize that we're all kind of going through similar circumstances, and we've probably been where you've been. Somebody has, and can offer you some moral support. All right? And again, if this is pretty much all of my advice that I have to you, but if none of this is helping you or motivating you or letting you know that there is hope, that you're not meant to be sad for the rest of your life. You don't deserve what happened to you, and life is not supposed to be this hard or this sad. But you got to be the one. You've got to heal yourself. Even when you go to therapy, that's what they're going to tell you. Your therapist cannot solve your problems. Your therapist can give you skills and ideas and exercises and things to do for you to help yourself. So that's what they're going to do, just like we're trying to do here. They might have better ways of saying things. They might have other methods that I don't have. So if what I'm saying here does not give you any kind of motivation, or you're like, I heard everything you have to say and I don't feel one bit different. If this is not helping you, then you need to go seek some other resources. You need to go find that therapist. You need to go make an appointment. You need to go to Grief Share. You need to go to a doctor. If you're not sure what the resources are, reach out and we will help you get to those resources. We will help you find them. We will help you figure out what is out there so that you can go find something so that you can help yourself. Okay? All right. So that is going to be it for today. And hopefully I will get this whole program and this new camera figured out so I can do more live streaming next week. But and I don't say any of this stuff to make you mad, but the grown-up person in your mind knows that what I've said is true. That it's just, you got to get up, and you're going to have to do the things even when you feel sad. You're going to have to do them sad until you start to feel better. All right? So that's my advice for today. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.